culture, age and lifestyle, and life stages. So we have seen how exactly age and lifestyle it affects the different type of products and services that we purchase over a period of time, and eventually what happens is we end up purchasing the different type of products and services, and effectively we take up different type of products per se as per our requirements or at the different type of life cycle stages that we is associated with changes in age that we have. Then we also have life stages that the people's major concerns for the different stages of their life. Uh, then coming down to the next important factor, which is called as gender. Now you have seen that there are different type of products which have been catered to the different type of like gender per se. Differentiation of towards, for example, we have clothings, hairstyling, cosmetics, fashion accessories, and even magazines per se. Now, some brands have been positioned as masculine brands, while others have been positioned as feminine brands. For example, a brand like Park Avenue, it is a ready-made apparel from Raymond's, is actually positioned as a masculine brand. Now, motorcycles are considered for men, but many two-wheeler brands, like for example, Bajaj Wave or Kinetic Flight or Honda Activa, TVS Scooty, they're targeted at the women folk. TVS Motors and Mahindra, they have launched scooters under the brand name Wego and Rodeo. These are specially targeted at not just men, but also women. So you have unigender type of products per se. Now, Van Heusen and Alan Solly, they have primarily men's clothing, but they have launched an apparel range for women as well. So Imami company, which was traditionally focused on women, has targeted even men with their fairness cream, fair and handsome, and the process this is created by the new product agency. So you see, there are different type of products. Like for example, if you're looking at even the toilet soap market, then we have got segmentation in the context of gender per se as well. Finally, coming down to income. We have income as a segmentation is a long-standing practice that is different type of income. If you're looking at the different type of products, like for example, products like watches or for cars or for other products per se, again, income plays a very important aspect. Coming down to the demographic segmentation, we would not be in a position towards demographic segmentation. We would be focusing on certain type of products which basically would be catering to the different type of demographies that we have. Now, towards a demographic segmentation, if you look at the different type of products, we have got millennials or Generation Y, then we had Generation X, we had baby boomers, and then we had the silent generation. So these basically would be the categorization within the context of demographic segmentation, and then we've got race and culture. We've got different type of races and culture. On the basis of that, we have got North Indians, South Indians, and so on and so forth. Which exactly would be catering to the different categories of the demographic segmentation per se. So effectively, we would be looking at another important aspect. We are denying entry for people who exactly are joining in late. So it's unfortunate for them, and because we have to continue with the class, so the message can be sent to them that entry has been stopped. Um, now, coming down to another important aspect towards segmentation, which is called the psychographic segmentation. That is, buyers are divided into groups on the basis of their psychological or personality traits or lifestyle or values. Um, Here, effectively, one what we're trying to see is how exactly is your personality trait. On the basis of that, we are trying to do your segmentation. Whether you are a type of a young category, or whether you are a more of a fashion freak, or whether you are a music freak, or basically on the different type of groups of the psychological or the personality traits or lifestyle have or the values possess, we would be trying to do different type of segmentations on the basis of that. Now, there are basically motivations on the basis of which we are primary motivations on the basis of which we do this sort of segmentation. I will be listing them. They are, for example, these motivations could be ideals, their achievements, and self-expression. What exactly are your ideals? What exactly are your achievements? And what are the self-expressions that you are having. So these basically would be the three broad segmentation. These motivations are all primarily motivated by ideas, by those knowledge principles. Then those who are motivated by, they are looking for products in the sense that demonstrate success for their peers. While consumers whose motivation is self-expression, they desire social or physical activity of variety and risk. Now, different type of personality traits such as energy, confidence, intellectualism, novelty seeking, innovativeness, impulsiveness, leadership, and variety in conjunction is the three key demographics. So I'm going to just be talking about the exactly we would be discussing. This is called as the eight-part topology of something is called the VALS. Exactly is called as this is used as some sort of a framework that is a framework which has been given by the Strategic Business Insight, and it is called as the VALS framework. Now, VALS framework, what we're discussing as of now, it should be visible in your screens as of now. So, effectively, you see, this framework is all about psychographic, how we can do psychographic segmentation. We try to find out which exactly are you on the different type of dimensions that is there, the value, attitude, and this segmentation is a very important segmentation. It's by something which is called Insights Value Framework. So effectively, we are going to see how these dimensions are. So primary motivations and being using gray, green, and orange colored rectangular areas, achievements, and expressions. At the top, we have innovators, and at the bottom, we have survivors. Now, within these three, we have got, like within ideals, we have got thinker, believers. Within achievement, we have got achievers, strivers, and within self-expression, we have got experiencers and makers. So basically, are the 8 levels of aspiration. 6 are these, and the 7th is innovator, and the 8th is survivor. So let me tell you about some of the categories of these 8 diamonds that you basically are seeing, or rather these 8 rhombus. These are the 8 diamonds which exactly have been identified. Who are exactly innovators? So innovators at the top that you can see, these are high source and high innovation. So they are successful, sophisticated, active, and they take charge people, high esteem. They purchase often reflect culture, taste for relatively upscale, niche-oriented products and services. So these are the people who exactly are categorized as innovators. They are in charge of the situation. They have a very high self-esteem. Their purchase reflects the cultivated taste that they have for relatively upscale niche orientation. Then let's look at the IELTS. The first gray box, which has the first dimension, which is called thinkers. Now, are basically successful people. These basically are thinkers. They also are, unlike innovators, they are mature. They are very satisfied. They are very reflective and motivated with ideals and those who have order, knowledge, and responsibility. So these are people who exactly are thinkers. And seek, what is the features that they seek in different products? They seek things like durability. They seek things like functionality and value in a product. So these are the factors that they basically thinkers would be for different features in a product per se. But then within the ideals, what other category which is called as givers. So if you're looking at the lower resources, because these people, if you're looking at the people at the top, they have higher resources. Okay. So whether they are in the domain of ideas, achievement, or self-expression, these are the people with high resources. So they can be classified as thinkers, achievers, experiencers, across a very broad boxes. So then we will be looking at the next one, which is believers. Now, if your believers are with low resources, they are conservative, they are conventional, traditional people with belief. Okay, so basically the first box that is towards ideal. Looking at the second box, that is the green one with achievers at the top with high resources. Achievers are successful, goal-oriented people with focus on career and family. Favor medium demonstrate success to their peers. So these are the category of achievers. But then the lower, we've got within this block that is achievement, we've got people with low resources. They are also within the domain of achievement. They are called as strivers. Now, strivers are trendy, fun-loving people who are resource-constrained. They favor stylish products that emulate the purchases of those with greater material wealth. So strivers are people who exactly have a need for, they try to find products that are reflecting or replicating the products which are being purchased by achievers. So people with great wealth, they find products which are reflecting people who exactly have resources to buy products which are greater material wealth. Then we have got the third box, which is all about self-expression. And here we've got people with high resources as experiencers and low resources as makers. So experiencers are young, enthusiastic, impulsive people who seek variety and excitement. They spend a considerably high proportion of income, fashion, entertainment, and socializing. This is basically with people who exactly have a high amount of self-expression. But then there are certain people who have a low amount of resource, and these are called as makers. So makers are practically down to earth, self-sufficient people who like to work their hands, who basically that they can just try to do things on their own. They are people who are very select and they do not have the resources, so they like express it by doing things. They are very practical people. Then we have got these survivors. Now these survivors are elderly, passive people concerned about changes and loyal to their favorite brand. So these are loyal people and they're favorite to their the loyal to their favorite brand. So they would be people with low emotion and low resource. So effectively, this exactly is the entire thing on the basis of which we have been advising the entire value segmentation framework. That is, here we would be looking at now many product brands. They decided to look at the norms type of segmenting the Indian consumers. Also, it could be, let's say, for example, on the basis of the food habits or dress code. For example, a number of consumers in India are strictly vegetarian. Now, on the basis of this, among those who don't eat a non-vegetarian food, many avoid product, and people who even eat veg food, many avoid products like beef. As a result, the many restaurants and manufacturers, like for example McDonald's, they had to change menu in India to adapt the Indian consumers' preference. For instance, McDonald's had changed the menu and allowed a menu of McDonald's instead international. Like for example, it's an international McDonald's menu, but in India has been avoided. Instead, the company has introduced vegetarian burgers like the Mac Veggie Burger and Mac Aloo Tikki Burger, and these products are for consumers who prefer vegetarian food. So you see, there is a lot of segmentation which is customized according to the other example of segmentation is on the basis of consumers' religious belief that can be seen in market of meat products in Indian subcontinent. So for example, there is a context of halal meat is meant that is possible according to the Islamic. Now, meat imported countries like from Pakistan, Bangladesh, from other countries has to be supplied by Islamic organizations. Many restaurants in North Asia they serve halal and jhatka meats, which is preferred by Hindus and Sikhs. Wishes of Muslims and non-Muslims respectively. So, if you see, there is a clashing in the context of meat which is being consumed by the type of religious beliefs. Also, is a type of a segmentation on the basis of how the products are actually used. Like for example, if you're looking at a product which is about like watches. If you're looking at watches per se, and if you look at Titan, a company called Titan, they have a wide range, some brands within the Titan range. Like for example, you've got something just called Edge. Then we've got Regalia, we've got Nebula, we've got Aga. They appeal to different segments and moods that basically, let's say for example, the Aga which exactly is with gold bracelets, and then if you've got Edge, which is actually worn with leather stripes. Now, then there are a range of watches, like for example, if you've got a watch which exactly is very trendy and which exactly is being used by very young people who exactly are sports freak. They've got a different range of watches which exactly are there, and you got a product like Fast Track, which exactly is taking care of a very expensive and sporty type of youth personality. So Fast Track appeals to the youth segment. Like Sonata, they are targeted at people who own a good-looking watch at a full price. Now, then, for example, if you're looking at a product like Hisense, a company that manufactures high-end leather accessories such as travel bags, briefcases, hats. These brands are targeted at people who value style with elegance and basic sense. So those want a personal statement about themselves and they have evolved nature in their preference. So effectively, you see, a segmentation can be done on the basis of graphics, and this is how exactly people can be segmented on the basis of the ideals, achievements, or self-expression. And within that, also people who have got high resources and high innovative, as well as people who have got low resources and low innovation. So we can have so there are 8 levels of sub-classification, very highest in the context of achievers, experiences, and innovators, and at low resources and innovation, that is builders, strivers, and makers and survivors. So coming down to behavioral segmentation. So this was all about psychographic, and now coming down to the behavioral segmentation, the marketing is divided again into groups on the basis of knowledge, of attitude towards you, of or response to the product. How do you behave? This is very, very important. The basis of the knowledge and attitude you have, or the use or the response of a product. Now, basically, your behavior is based on different type of dimensions, and we would be how you behave, how you respond. So, what is your attitude, or what is the basis of your knowledge towards different type of products? So, let us look exactly at needs and benefits. So, when you're buying a product, basically there can be a person who will buy a product of the same amount, the same benefit. Probably different people have different need from a product, and they want to see different type of benefits. So need based or the benefit based is highly used because it identifies distinct market segments. Like for example, things like if you're using a shampoo, I would say. So what do you use a shampoo for? So generally, we say it's for basic cleaning. But some people say, oh, I use shampoo conditioning my hair. Then others would say that I would like to add more shine and bounce to my hair. So come up with something unique. Let's say that I want to use shampoo which exactly is giving dandruff control. And now, or so you see, for example, you've got Chic, you've got Anti, Head Shoulders, Sunsilk, and they have a variety of products towards the different type of benefit segments. Now, if you get the bathing soap category, let us look at a product called a Linen. Now, they offer benefits of freshness. Okay, but you're looking at a product called Dettol, brand Dettol soap. This or called total protection. So Dettol is basically with a name, it means we've got a mindset that Dettol is all about total protection from also germs and diseases. So effectively, total Dettol all about protection. Now, if you're looking at a fabric care market, then again we've got a type of products exactly are there. Let's for example, there can be product for delicate care, delicate clothes. There are detergents such as liquid detergents as you have got Easy from Godrej, which is positioned especially for clean clothes and delicate fabric. So you see, effectively, if you have for delicate garments or for your delicate your woolen clothes, you would always use detergent or with a very mild. Then, for example, there's a brand called a Surf and Ariel. They offer things like again subcategorization like Surf Excelmatic. Now, Surf Excelmatic again is subclassified into top load and front load, depending upon the washing machines that basically are using for washing clothes and you're using it. Again, that's on the basis of design of the washing machine. This is sub-segmented and classified. A top load is a top loading washing machine, and then the front load is a front loading washing machine. That is which opens the door in the front. That is has got a round door, and you open it to the front. You add that type of detergent in that. So effectively, you got some Excelmatic load and Ariel Frontomatic. Now, detergent powder generate less lather and are suitable for use in washing machine. Also, for example, you've got a place which exactly has something like hard water. So you've got a water softener also, which is added along with your detergents for washing your clothes. So effectively, on the basis of needs and benefits, there is the first level of behavioral segmentation, which is now coming down to the decision roles. Now, there are five roles in buying decision, and you can see these five roles, which is that is listed towards decision roles in your screen. They can be classified as initiators, influencers, deciders, buyers, and so what basically would be an initiator? So, really, an initiator actually is the role. These are the people who basically initiate or who are very experimental in trying to take a decision for a new product every first time. So these are people who would like to take the risk and experiment with a new product. These are initiators. So a new product in the market, these are the people who would like to try it out. These are the people who would like to experiment with a new product. Now, basically, when we are looking at different products, like for example, sales representatives, they be targeting at doctors who like come up with new molecules or new medicines for pharmaceuticals and also for prescribing a specific kind of medicine. Now, these basically they end up as initiators or influencers because influencers even doctors to us prescribing the perception, they are providing information about products through periodical visit by medical representatives, or it could be through conferences or giving them samples of different type of household products. Now, many advertising promotional effects are also acted by filmmakers, and which basically are all about influencers. Then there are many advertising, promotional, or presentation by salespeople. This suggests they're suggested by shopkeepers for recommendation by friends and children, relatives, depending on the nature or the type of product. There is also elements of people who exactly are deciders. So, for instance, then we have got deciders, buyers, and finally we have got users. So, these are the type of decision on the basis of the next level of behavioral segmentation is carried out. Now, we would be looking at some sort of users and usage related variables. So, what is the frequency of usage of different products and services? That is also associated with user usage related variables. So let's, for example, if you're trying to look at the using status, there can be occasions. You're using a certain product only on occasions. Like, for example, a product which exactly is could be a party, for example, your suit or sherwanis that you'll be wearing, or your garments or your wear that which special occasions whenever you're for a party or something of that sort. So that's very occasional you'll be wearing it, and then you'll be keeping it safe so that be using it only when actually is required. Then things like user status, like the user status, how frequently you exactly are using it. What is it? Buyer readiness stage. What is the loyalty status and attitude? All these factors also impact the type of products that is actually used. Now, this aspect towards buyer readiness stage, I would basically be trying to talk to you about a product which exactly is very rare, and actually is not the consumer has to be actually sensitized in order to make it use this product, because many of them they're not using this product, and then they have to be made aware about this product so that they are actually ready to use it. So many times people are not ready to use a product. So I will be coming up with buyer readiness stage. Some are aware about certain products, and some of them are informed, some desire, some intent. Now, how these people are using these, or how you convert people from one stage to another stage, is the role of marketing. So you can use something called the market funnel, that is break down marketing to market buyer readiness stage. So what is the readiness stage of buyer? Is called a life cell. This is life cell is actually using this actor called as Ritesh. This is Hrithik Roshan. Hrithik Roshan is actually the brand ambassador for Life Cell. He says, "Thank you, Life Cell, for securing my child health forever. That is, preserve your baby's milk cord stem cells at a time of birth and secure your baby's life forever." So I'll give you a small case study about Life Cell. Please pay attention to this very interesting story. Now, Life Cell International is pioneered umbilical cord stem cell banking. So it's stem cell banking. This is available in India. The procedure requires collection and cryogenic storage of umbilical cord blood, which is a rich source of unspecialized and immature cells called cord stem cells. The stem cells can be used at a later stage in life to treat some genetic disorders and life-threatening diseases to genetic engineering. The method serves as bioinsurance for children. To get the cord stem cell blood is collected in special bags from the umbilical cord right after the baby's birth. Cells are then separated for long-term storage at an extremely low temperature of minus 190 degrees centigrade. And the client pays for the and long-term storage of the cord blood cell. The company has invested significant amount and effort in creating awareness among medical fraternity and among expected mothers to a variety of methods such as advertisements, seminars, workshops, presentations, distribution of promotional literature, and medicalization. The concept is still at the nascent stage in South Asia, and people are gradually becoming aware of its long-term. So yes, this context is about a type of procedure or product which is not very much acceptable, or market does not actually have a lot of awareness about this sort of a product, and buyers have to be created about the features of products and services, and you have actually come down to something which exactly is the buyer awareness stage. We basically would be looking at certain other aspects, and we would be taking care of these important aspects. I would be taking the slide and exactly is what as the market funnel. This is very interesting to observe how exactly it come down to design the different type of products and use. So we got a different type of loyalty status. That is, we got a hardcore loyals, consumers who buy brand all the time. Then we've got split loyals, the people who are loyal to three brands. If they don't get brand, they would only go for the second brand. If they do not get second brand, they would only go for the brand, but not beyond that. So these are called split loyals. Then there are also shifting loyals. These shifting loyals, consumers who shift loyalty from one brand to another. So they are basically using brand, and then after some time they would buy brand, and then again brand A, and then again there are switchers who have no loyalty to any brand. So switchers are those who are not showing any sort of loyalty towards any brand, and these are people who exactly could be switching multiple brands. So let us exactly come down to how basically this sort of a brand funnel is all about. So let's take two brands. One is brand A, and the second is brand B. Now we will comparing these brand A and B towards performing for converting one-time user to a recent user. Now 46% convert for brand A. Okay, and if you're looking at the brand A compared to 61% for brand B. So you see, effectively happening is how exactly this conversion has. You see these circles which exactly are. So 46% have actually converted to brand A, and 61% have converted to brand B. So effectively, there are type of reasons conversion. So let us get down to how about it. And 100%. So the gray brand A is 96. Okay, so 4% are these people who exactly have actually got these out here, and 96% of them are aware, 4% are unaware. Now, so effectively, this is 96% are 96 of them are aware, and this one are not aware. And then here, 97% are actually aware and are not aware of brand B. Now, then what happens? 65% of these users are actually aware. So awareness is out. So 65% actually from here, and then to the next stage. So of the 65%, then this 65% becomes actually the next. So 63% of this 65% actually are actually ever tried this product, and 74% of this 76% actually have ever tried brand B. So that eventually comes down to 61% of this, 6% of this they actually have recent trials. Now we would be taking the trials, and that becomes this. So of 60%, 40 have done sort of recent trials, and 20 have done recent trials for A. So effectively, this tantamounts to something like 60%, and this tantamounts to 1%. This actually reduces to 18%. 80 of them who are exactly occasional users, and 32 of them are occasional users for brand B. So that reflects 25% here, and that reflects 67%. Of this, if you try to see, we've got regular users, or 12 of them are regular users, and here you see we've got about 24 of them are regular users. So that's about and 50% from that. If you want to see how many of them, so 6 of them is 50%, 6 of these 50% is 12. So effectively, the 6 of them are actually use this most commonly using are just 6, and 24, 60% of 24, that is about 15 of them are actually most oftenly using this. So if you want to see how, so this is actually, so of 24, 62% is 15, of 30 to 75% is 64, of 45, 7% is 30, of 74, 61% is 45, of 97, 76% is 74. So these percentages are hypothetical. This is basically on the basis of this is hypothetical, this is not much. So you say for brand A, this exactly is the percentages, and for brand B, this is the percentage. Effectively, you see 97% were aware. I would think aware, but then if you add 61% of them actually haven't tried this product. So that is 24, 76% of 97 is 24, 61% of 4 is 45, 71% of 45 is 30, 75% is 24, and 62% of 24 is 50. So 15 people actually have most oftenly used the product. Of 97 people who exactly were aware. But for brand A, 96 people who were aware only have used this product. So this sort of process is called as marketing planning. So we have to actually identify how people are aware and how people have most often use your product. Now this can be achieved through different promotional myths, and we can gather this information from questions that we ask people about the products and services that they have actually used. So coming up to the next important aspect, we would be looking at something called general segmentation. So you see the target market at the top. So there are some people aware about a product, and there are some who are aware about a product or a service. So people who are unaware, we have got to tell them how what is the product service is all about, the different type of promotion or the advertising mix does that. But people who are aware, we let them. From these we have two type of people. One, people not tried and tried. People who have not tried a product can have a negative opinion. They can have a favorable opinion or they can have a neutral opinion because they've never tried it. But just on the basis of hearsay, they might have a opinion because they have not never actually used the product. So the opinion can be negative or neutral. But people who have tried the product, who have consumed it once, they again can have three type of opinions. The first is they can reject, not satisfied, so they would reject the product. They have not been not very effective, repeated, not yet repeated, not repeating them yet. But there are some people who are satisfied who have repeated after one trial and done a retrial of the product. So these people will try to target. Now, therefore, the behavior is like this. So people, we want to see if they are repeated, are they loyal to a brand? They have gained some sort of loyalty for the brand. Now, that is again the frequency they use. They are users, they are regular users, or they have a very high frequency of users, that is heavy users. This is how behavioral segmentation breakdown is actually carried out for the different type of product service.